This is an excerpt from our Hot as a Bee mini film festival. If you'd like to hear the full episode, click on the link in the description. And now, on with the show.
Hot as a bee movie, can't look away. Cheesy lines and action come what may. Hot as a bee movie, every single day. We're living in the moment, feeling this way.
Moments, which I wasn't expecting. This is one of those, I would say, bigger budget B-style movies. Kind of like an Escape from New York, where like it looks more expensive than it actually, is. Like they actually did a really good job, I think.
I mean, that kind of leads us into Turkey Shoot, talking about a wide variety of different kinds of scenes of touching on different genres all at once. Turkey Shoot from 1982, which is also known as Blood Camp Thatcher.
And also known as Escape 2000, I found out, on Amazon Prime.
Right. Blood Camp Thatcher actually was what made this movie huge.
That makes sense.
In the UK in 1982. I heard someone talking about how when it came out, like the weekend it came out was a terrible weekend in London because it was cold and it was raining.
Right.
But that there were lines going like around the block to see this movie because people had a lot of angst about the Prime Minister, whoever she was. This was directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, who also directed Leprechaun 3, Leprechaun 4 in space, and
yes, the fourth one's in space.
Of course, and BMX Bandits. It stars Steve Railsback, Olivia Hussey, and Michael Craig. The synopsis for this movie is: in an authoritarian future, dissidents are herded into prison camps where they are hunted for sport. It's the deadliest game. It's also the dystopic prison camp where all the deviants are just people that the government disagrees with.
Yes. They call it a re-education camp, but really they're just torturing these people. But I have to say, I totally endorse Blood Camp Thatcher as a title. This is the first movie on the list that truly hits my B-movie like funny bone, where it's like this, because Abby, it's like, okay, this is like a less enjoyable blaxploitation movie compared to when I first watched it. We're gonna get to a really good one soon, but and then Red Sun, it's got a bigger budget. There's more production behind it. It's got star power. But Blood Camp Thatcher, this is a B movie. This is what we were talking about in our preamble definitions. This is the younger director that has a vision, wants to say something, and there's so much accidental comedy and awkwardness with the performances. There's also people that you can totally root for, and you're rooting for them because the combination of you're on their side, but you also like love the awkwardness. I thoroughly loved this movie. It was so delightful.
I guess an analogy for something like this, I would call it a Taco Bell movie, where Taco Bell has put out things like making a tostada using a giant Cheez-It. It's not good for you.
It's delicious.
It's tasty in a trashy kind of way, and that is absolutely Turkey Shoot or Blood Camp Thatcher. I think we'll go back and forth about which title we use because it was great.
Escape 2000 is the not as fun title. That was the US title apparently.
Escape 2000 is actually the title they used for a quasi remake that came out recently. Which I just watched, and you all can skip it.
Okay, duly noted.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination. They turn it into a game show, so it's almost like
Running Man?
Running Man or Hunger Games.
Hunger Games wishes it was as cool as Running Man.
Hunger Games wishes it was as cool as Turkey Shoot.
That's also true, because Turkey Shoot, oh my goodness. So we get our soap stars, because I did some research on this after being so thoroughly in love with it. A lot of these actors did come from Australian soap operas, I found.
And they brought that kind of energy.
And
it's big melodrama.
They did. It's great. And they go to this re-education camp. We kind of have our three main characters being transported in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they get convicted of crimes that are definitely not crimes.
Well, I wrote down, it's Olivia Hussey plays a shopkeeper who just didn't like seeing one of her customers getting beat up by the cops. And so the cops said, "Why are you objecting to us beating this guy? We're taking you in."
Take her away.
Then there's Linda Stoner, who she says, "Some asshole turned me in for being a whore," which I'm not. Some asshole turned me in
Right.
for being a whore, which I'm not. I'm like, yeah, that's how the cops work here. They don't care. They'll go on a rumor.
I kind of see her, by the way, as like a Australian Farrah Fawcett. She really had those
Indeed.
vibes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great hair.
Yes, absolutely. Very much the Logan's Run Farrah Fawcett style hair to give a Logan's Run callback.
And then Steve Railsback, who is definitely the seditious one.
Yes.
He is an anti-establishment.
Yes.
I guess, I don't know what he does other than being an escape artist. He gets arrested all the time, has a reputation for breaking out. When he's arrested, when we first meet him, he's doing a pirate radio broadcast.
Correct. Yeah.
Trying to speak out against this government. Yeah, those kind of things made me feel like this movie, it was good to watch after the 2024 election.
It was
here in
cathartic.
America. Yeah, no, not cathartic, as spooky as in like, yeah, I'm having fun watching this movie, but oh shit, we've got a president who wouldn't mind seeing torture camps where people are hunted.
This movie, so there's great stuff that happens while they're in the camp, but truly the movie proper and the insanity of the directorial choices, it begins when our three main heroes plus two other inmates that they kind of rub elbows with, the five of them are set free
Griff
into
and
the wilderness.
Dodge.
Yes. And they're set free into the wilderness in half-hour intervals and given a head start. And
With
there
the
are
promise of freedom if they can. Basically,
Right.
the head of the camp, Charles Thatcher, has invited all of these political and cultural elites, like
Yes.
heads of industry, weapons manufacturers, to come to the camp and do a fox hunt, where they're going to tell these people that they will earn their freedom if they can stay alive for 24 hours
Yeah.
and not be killed by these hunters.
which we should take as complete bullshit.
Oh, yeah. The hunters are an amazing little menagerie of psychopaths.
Absolutely, including a man's pet beast.
Yes, one of the guys, Tito, brings a fucking wolf man.
Yes. And he is introduced in the most standard, non-operatic way. The camera pans over, bam, there's a guy in like a gorilla costume. And that's
not
just
gorilla
yeah,
costume.
yeah,
He
like
looks
a Wolfman
looks like a
costume.
werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's a beast. And then you roll with
with
it.
a top hat on.
With a top hat and a little vest.
Yes.
It's like he walked off the stage of Young Frankenstein. Like, it's pretty wonderful.
Part of that, I think, was probably in the original script, but this movie was supposed to have a bigger budget. And what
Okay.
happened was last minute, they had a backer pull out, and it was like tens of millions of dollars was taken away from the budget, so they had to pare everything down. And that's where a little bit of the Ozploitation, because this was filmed in Australia, Ozploitation feel comes out when all of the hunters have these tiny cars, basically like service vehicles that have been retrofitted with. One has a giant fan on the back for no reason to make it look like it could go faster. Everything's a one-seater
Yes.
that has maybe a gun turret like welded onto part of the frame.
There's a lady, one of the hunters is a lady with an exploding arrow supply, or a supply of exploding arrows, a la
Yes.
Rambo 2.
Yes.
And she is hunting the one, whatever his name is.
His name was Griff. He's played by Bill Young, and this was a note that I made twice in this little film festival. Two different actors. I was like, wow, he is such a long boy.
Yes, he's super
so
tall.
Tall and gangly, everything about him.
It's funny too, because Bill Young, that's actually my stepfather's name, and he lived for a time in Australia, so that's pretty great. Doesn't look anything like that guy.
Aw.
That would be amazing. I probably
would've
would
been
have.
amazing.
I probably would have seen this movie a long time ago had that been the case.
All of these bad guys, all these hunters are playing to the peanut gallery.
Yes,
They are chewing the scenery, and that's what makes this movie fun. Is the stakes and the drama are cranked up.
Yes,
Not to diminish anything from Deadly Prey, but in that one, it is the same kind of thing.
but this is more fun than Deadly Prey. Yeah,
It's the same Deadliest Game sort of premise, but that one, it's just action. It's like people running into each other, having a fight. Somebody's arm gets cut off, and then they get beaten with their arm in Deadly Prey. In this one, people stop and do speeches. Everyone
Yeah.
Everyone has an axe to grind or a soapbox to stand on and declare things. Yeah, it's more like the soap operatic nature
Yes.
of WWE.
And there's exploding. There's explosive blood effects in this. There's people that get their limbs chopped off. There's people that burn alive. Like it's such a lovely B action schlock movie.
Again, what I was saying about what I appreciate in B-movie is variety, where they go for things, is you can get caught up in the drama of this.
Yes.
And then see someone literally exploded with machine gun fire.
Yes, and there's also
They turned to hamburger.
yes, there's almost a Return of the Living Dead ending where everyone just gets bombed, but they avoid that. The camp
Yes.
gets bombed, but our heroes are able to assemble all the prisoners, and they mount a counteroffensive, which is so incredible. And like
This movie-
there are people like just standing still, upright, shooting in multiple rows of each other
Yes.
and not hitting anybody. It's so great. That's everything I want from an 80s action movie.
For being a low-budget B-movie, this one is good because it brings you so much.
Yes.
It gives you so much to see and so much to talk about and so much to enjoy.
The Farrah Fawcett Australian actress, she is killed by lesbianism is the implication. The female hunter, it's heavily implied that she chose one of our main
Oh,
characters
it's not-
out of sexual appetite, right? This is the thing that I would love about B movies. These things get in.
But it's not a good, it's not like this is good representation.
No.
It's not good queer representation at all. It's just,
No. This movie,
I
though,
mean-
well understands that representation or lack thereof is not the same thing as condemnment or condonement.
right.
Everything is for fun.
It's one aspect of the movie that shows that more thought was put into the story, that there was more of a social commentary to this than just, oh, the grown-ups suck and oppressive, because that's what most dystopian things can be boiled down to when they're done wrong. It's just, oh man, we gotta be scrappy and do the best we can with whatever we can find because we're being told that we can't listen to rock and roll, man.
Right.
In this one, that aspect of the female hunter is supposed to be a commentary on homosexuality being one of the things that's deemed deviancy in this movie, and that people are being sent to re-education camps for. And yet, this woman who I think is a weapons manufacturer
Right.
is one of the elite. She gets to come to camps and be hosted as a guest to hunt people.
Right.
She is also a transgressor, and it shows that the corruption innate in this society.
Yes, there's actually a kind of history of this that I'm beginning to just self-teach myself because I've never found a book that really covers this. But throughout history, it's obvious that homosexuality in various forms was either criminalized or just severely looked down upon, to say the least. But there are figures in history.
Well, I would say
that-
scapegoated, which I think is probably where you're going with this.
Yes, but there are figures in history that get a pass on it. And like if we take not too long ago Great Britain in the 40s, why was John Maynard Keynes a figure that I think is a very interesting man? Why was he given a pass and Alan Turing wasn't? And it's literally
Oh,
the
yeah,
same
what they
time.
did to Alan
And
Turing was
it really, I
horrible.
think, comes down to who you know. So there
Your-
is
your-
definitely
your
in that,
status in society
Right.
reflects how much you have to follow society and obey society.
right,
It's
and
the
those network
privilege.
effects are in this movie.
Yeah.
Right, like this lady is a part of the elite. It's whenever you're a part of the elite in these kinds of societies, it's always rules for thee but not for me, right? And that's very much on I would imagine when it was a bigger budget movie that there was more of that in the movie, but they probably had to cut it and make it action schlock.
Yeah, it's. I will throw that out as the bad side of B movies. Sometimes is this is also where we get a lot of indulgence in violence, and sometimes it's fun, but sometimes it's also indulgence in cruelty.
Right.
In misrepresentation, racism, sexism, all
Which
the
this
bad
movie-
stuff is in these movies too. And sometimes you have to take it with a grain of salt, or you have to reconsider your fandom about some movies.
Right. And I'm typically a holder of salt for a lot of that stuff. Like in this movie in particular, I think it actually skates out on this because when they're in the camp, over the loudspeaker, they're giving them like the things that are illegal, like sexual promiscuity among the prisoners is not strictly banned, but if you get pregnant, you'll be forcibly aborted and probably killed yourself. Also, if you get an STD, you're executed. And I think, what is it? Also, homosexuality is death penalty condemnable as well. So it's very interesting. They set up right out the gate, like this is what the society considers illegal, but this villainess is one of those things. So I actually do think it was probably a holdover from what the movie used to be, which was more of a commentary on the hypocrisy of the elites versus the law.
And one of the things you mentioned is also worth zooming in on. The sexual promiscuity amongst the prisoners is tenuously allowed.
Right.
Because before this announcement, we were shown that sexual assault from the guards
is totally
and the
okay.
Staff is completely overlooked and totally okay. There's not a code of ethics for them.
Right.
And in that way, I mean, this is me drawing an unexpected line between Blood Camp Thatcher and Come and See. that really heavy movie we watched and we talked thoroughly about last time that exemplified in it Nazi war crimes. This schlocky movie carries with it the same kind of warnings of don't forget that happened.
Right.
I have been making a list on the Miscellaneous Film Festival Letterboxd account for movies that deserve a remake.
I was thinking that as I was watching this.
Sadly, this movie has been remade. Like I said, I just watched it and it was
Yeah.
bullshit. So it deserves a better remake.
Right.
And as I was watching this, I was kind of fan casting. I thought amongst the hunters, the evil oligarchical hunters, either Charles Thatcher or one of the others, Tim Curry would have been great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He just has that wonderful like Cheshire cat smile. It would have worked so well in a movie like this.
And he knows how to be magnificently evil.
I think Richard O'Brien would be really funny in this movie too, actually.
Yes.
You know, he just has that wonderful quirk to him. You know, of course he wrote Rocky Horror Picture Show, so that would fit really well.
Now, do you know who Meg Foster is?
Meg Foster's wonderful. She's in They Live, one of my favorite movies of all time.
I thought she would be great in this as one of the hunters.
She has eyes that would make Elijah Wood jealous.
Oh yeah.
They're like piercing blue. It's so great. No, I actually have a signed poster from her that I bought on eBay.
Do you really?
Yeah, I don't know where it is. It probably got lost in a move like 10 years ago.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it's a shot of her and Roddy Piper together from They Live. But it's
really
like
cool.
it's like an 8x10, so it's nothing that I could like put on the wall. And again, I haven't found it in probably 10 years. It's probably gone. But like, oh man, yeah. Whenever she turns up in a movie, it's a lot of fun. She would be great in something like this. But I thought this was wonderful. But yeah, if it was remade today, it'd probably be turned into like a dumb action movie in the worst sense of the word. Like the tall guy would probably be played by Batista. I don't hate that guy, but
he's
wouldn't
great.
it wouldn't work for the tone of this movie. Because I don't think he can play schlock that well, actually.
No, he has a real heart of gold that he brings to his characters. Yeah,
I don't think it would work that well.
You empathize with him so easily. He should be more in the lead.
I can't imagine a modern director that I would trust with this, to be honest.
Oh,
like, you know who I would want to have it done? I would want like Richard Donner to do it.
yeah.
Like Richard, if he were still alive, Richard Donner of Lethal Weapon and Superman fame, or who did Predator and Die Hard? John someone.
Let's find out.
But he did Predator and Die Hard, and I want him to make a movie like this. So I would love to see that kind of sensibility brought to a movie like this.
Yes.
He's got the whole hunter thing going on with Predator. He's got the kind of isolated thing going on in Die Hard. He could totally do it.
Someone who could handle the appreciation of cranking up the fun, who could handle a smaller budget and higher fun.
Flying saucers, giant bugs, it's alright. In this movie marathon, we'll never hide. Soundtrack bumping, hearts open wide. Let's get lost in the scene side by side. away.